Ben here, East West. A special intra-week video this week with a very special guest. The one and only Red Devil has been kind enough to drop in and have a chat with me about some very interesting names in the uranium and nuclear space. So without further ado, please sit back and enjoy my chat with the Red Devil. Okay, guys, so I've got the Red Devil on hand. How are you going today, mate? Been a long time.
Yeah, Ben, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, and it's what an interesting time that we're coming together in the market, right? There's been incredible movement. It certainly really caught me off guard, the speed at which this has happened.
Yeah, it was a good bounce, and I will say, like I was seeing the double bottom, I was calling it out, but
Mm,
that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right?
that's right. I mean, I'm sort of looking at the same thing and thinking, okay, this is kind of making that base now, but just the speed at which it got up here is been uh, well, it's been very telling on the market. So, look, mate, I grabbed you in today because I just want to rap with you about where you see the charts, and I'm just looking for some different views so that the viewers can get some sort of balanced information about where the market sits right now. So we're going to start here with URA and just look at the overview. So what are you seeing here, brother? What's your gut feel as we sit here and now today?
So as it sits right now, I mean, we've had one heck of a run off of this double bottom. Now, there's no question about it. I was kind of walking my Twitter followers through this a little bit. But you say it's a hard and fast run, but look, there's consolidation in there,
There
right?
is.
So there were opportunities everywhere to get in, and in my opinion, there's going to be another opportunity, right? So, I mean, we could spend a lot of time just on this, but
Mm.
if you haven't looked at my videos, people that are listening to Ben, just go back and kind of check out what I talk about with these EMA riders, because it did exactly what I've been talking about for the past couple of years, right? So it's stretched out these moving averages, and now it just reversed. And what's it doing? It's just riding this 12 EMA, right? So where do you want to look for your dip buys? Where am I looking? I'm looking at this 12 EMA tap, right? So like for URA, this 31 area to 32 to 31 area, because it's going to be a rising 12 EMA.
Mm.
It's probably going to be a dip buy, and then as the way I do it, which is different than your last guess, right?
Mm.
He's a waiver and whatnot, but I'm just, that's how I'm always looking at it. I'm going to be looking at what's my spots too, because now we know this is a pretty big impulsive move, right?
It is.
There's a lot of volume behind it. Even if you look at the weekly, there's volume. It's not extra special volume for URA, but we see the price action, and it's absolutely, by the way, outperforming URNM, because URA is at these tops already. It's outperforming URNJ. Something that we do have to keep in mind, right? You want the sector all to run in unison, and I will talk about. There were two names that did have start daily consolidation today, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
URA, if you can see this white line that I've drawn, and I've drawn it a long time ago. And what does it mean to me? Well, to me, it's a huge, huge key level for a lot of reasons. So even when you go back to 2013, you see there's interaction here, this white line at that level, right?
Yeah.
There's all interaction there. It lost it. It's fine. It retested again, November 2021,
Oh.
almost to the number, right?
Mm.
Retested again in
Mm.
November 2021, retested again in February 24, retested again in May 24, right? These are all rejections here, and there's interaction over here, and now we're back above it again. So it starts to you'll start to understand just how relevant this particular number is. And then if we go back to the volume profile, look, there's nothing above.
No.
So as far as volume resistance is concerned, we're just about there. There's a little chop right in here, maybe up into, and then you're going to be starting to look at these consolidation levels. There's nothing else, but bag holders, even bag holders from here, might have finally been able to break even. And
Man.
maybe they're going to be looking to get out. And they say, finally got out of this
Uh,
brutal uranium trade. So but I would assume that was happening here, and it was happening here, and it was happening here. So this looks imminent for a beautiful breakout at some point in the near future. I don't know where it's going to be because, and you and I, we talk about this all the time, right? When when you're in major resistance zones, you don't want it to be running hot into those zones, right? Look
No.
at that RSI. We
Yeah.
want it to be, we want it to cool. So maybe it just gets another back test. We'll see. But that's kind of the way I'm viewing URA right now. It's in great shape, and and I've said this multiple times, right? So I want the good option chain, and I want the liquidity, and so does all of these larger money movers, and they're going to get it here, and that's why you're seeing this outperformance.
Yeah.
So just by charts alone, without me doing any research and seeing who's putting their money into here, I'm willing to make a bet that this is more institutional money coming into this than into URNM and URNJ, just by the way the price action is. But it's speculative at best.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
the sector bellwether here looks really good. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd agree, and I really do agree too that even though yes, that this time next week it could be a lot higher again, but just for me, and even just looking at that 12 EMA rider, that almost looks like it's going to line up with that previous point that we had back in July. So
You got that rising
yeah,
12. Yeah.
yeah. So it almost looks like if we got that pullback into there, and I'm willing to bet that from that sort of October low, where at the bottom of that consolidation, that will probably be in the retracement zone as well. I would think that's probably 50% of the way back from that point. Yeah. That's just from the naked eye. I reckon that would probably line up pretty well. That looks like a pretty good entry. So that looks to me like what around that $31 area, somewhere like
Yeah.
that.
That's
Yep.
it. Well, the number I have delineated now, again, lines on the chart are subjective all the time,
Of
right? But
course.
I showed, you saw that in the monthly. So the other thing that I'm kind of looking at the moment,
Mm.
is, this is a fib. This is a legitimate fib run right here, right? So because we got a pivot as small as it is, we've got that pivot there.
Right.
So that bounce didn't even cut, this dip, I guess you could call it, did, right? It came down to this 23% retracement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a fib trader, you get that bounce on that retracement, you're looking for the 23% extension. It
Mm-hmm.
got it. That's
Yeah.
the target got hit, and it went through, and it's still through.
Yeah, which
So
means it could be reaching for the 61.8 target. So,
it, it could be,
yeah.
or in the very least, let's not be all excitable. Let's just say it's a 50% extension. So it's going to get you into 34, 35, right? But the key level now, because these levels are starting to break, is this one up here, this 35.76, which I just kind of started looking at today,
Mm.
just to identify my spot. And that's my warning sign for this next piece, right? So it's giving me a heads up before it actually happens. But this is your next big level right here.
Yeah.
This 35.76.
Okay.
That's going to be your next big level. And it's going back to 2014, early 2014. That's the next level that this thing has to take out. So it's not, although markets have memories, right? It's not going to be that perfect. So, and that's not big resistance there. So, I mean, but I just want to see, I need to see, I want it to cool down. And everybody, even though you might have bag holders from November 20th, everybody wants to see it cool down and have beautiful consolidation like this, even like this, right?
Yeah.
And this consolidation, this is a very strong move because look how shallow the consolidations are.
I've noted that.
Right?
I mean, you basically get a week of sideways and then just explosion up again. There's been hardly any retracement. It's just been sideways consolidation, which is the sign of a very strong market, of course.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So it's so reasonable if it comes down to this anywhere between 30 and 31. Reasonable, and I'll be happy to see it personally.
Yeah, I agree, mate. That's great. Let's move on to some other names here. I was very interested in some of the maybe slightly lesser known names that you covered in your last video.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a look at BWX? This
My
one's
charts
not
are
one. That's
okay.
all right. This is BWX Technologies. This is not one that I've covered before, but it's
Okay,
a super interesting looking chart.
it's insane.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So
the question with these sort of things is, well, is it too late? Is there more? Is there more to go? I mean, I think that's probably the question that most people are looking at as they're looking at these sort of names.
yeah. The thing I would say about BWXT, and I did talk about this in the video. Now I'm not Mr. Fundamental, but these guys are building nuclear reactors for like the Navy and stuff, and they've been doing it for a long time. It also pays Mr. Dividend, right? So
Yeah.
um, there probably are, if you're playing the nuclear space, and we'll go back to this monthly, this can be a very good anchor stock for the nuclear renaissance, right? So uh, and I missed out on BWXT because I didn't know about it all throughout here, right? So I
Mm.
kind of started figuring it out over here, and I when I look at this chart, I say to myself, I don't care if I miss a move because I know no matter what, it gets these little sharp monthly corrections that I can take advantage of.
Yeah.
Right. And I was talking about it on Twitter, and I even Art Hyde kind of he said something about valuations there, and I kind of missed it because I would say, okay, here comes my monthly sharp consolidation that I'm looking for.
Mm.
And you know what? I missed the boat because I waited too long. I was looking for more,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not going to make that same mistake again because I know it's like a rock solid long. I mean, look at this chart. Even if
it's,
you go,
it's
even if you
impressive.
go to the quarterly,
Yeah.
look at the quarterly chart.
Yeah. That's impressive. I mean, you think about the crypto. I was about to say the crypto winter, the uranium winter, and the long period of nothingness. And
Yeah.
boy, that's weathered it really, really well.
Yeah, but it has, and you'll sit there and you go, oh well, it's running hot. Well, it runs hot. It's what it does
Yeah.
because I don't think anybody really once the funds, this is probably in funds, like institutional funds and family offices. I would
Mm.
gather it is
Hmm.
because there's not a lot of selling. you know,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
very little selling in this name since the history of the name. There's very little selling. It's been all up the entire time. Now, you could argue that there's some sort of rising wedge pattern that's starting to form here. And yeah, and you could say that there's probably well, there really isn't divergence either. So it's just to me, it's like when I get these little flushes, I just got to keep in mind that there's just to kind of bag it. I mean, the thing has not lost the 200-day moving average. Um, yeah, probably since here, right? Let's just say since May of 2022.
Yeah.
It's been riding. Look at the average ride.
Yeah. That's
You know
amazing.
what? If you just know nothing about charts and you say, where do I want to buy this? You want to buy it when it comes into these averages,
Yeah.
maybe even before because they're getting front run, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a great one. And again, UC1 I think is more fundamentally sound with this stuff. But I just know Navy contracts, government contracts, and the chart tells you there's no reason not to buy this on any sort of decent pullback if you want the long term anchor stock in your nuclear portfolio.
That
I would call this absolutely one of them.
that makes complete sense to me. That is a very impressive chart. That will go onto the watch list for sure, mate. Let's move on to ASP. ASPI,
Okay, so
I should say.
ASP isotopes, right? And again, this was in my video too because
Mm.
I'm seeing a wonky head and shoulders here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there might be some real to the letter technical analyst guys that goes no because the neckline's broke, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm seeing this top and this top are basically lining up right now,
Yep.
right? So and there's your head. So I see this formation. That's I know that if it takes out this 567, it's blue sky breakout.
Sure.
So, but you've had your blue sky breakouts before and with rejections, and it's ASPI. So the float, the share structure it can whip you around a little bit. There's no option chain on this yet. It will be interesting to see if it comes in.
So would you say the liquidity on this one is maybe not quite as good?
Yeah, I'm sure there's how I approach liquidity is this. I size appropriately. So I size to what I think is not going to really start whipping around this stock. So if it's, if someone's coming in and trying to buy a couple 100,000 shares, it's going to move this price, I would guess,
Yeah.
pretty significantly, right?
Right. Yep.
So, I size appropriately on that. I know it gets whipped around. And I mean, look at the volatility. It's
Yeah.
really good volatility.
Yeah.
So I have identified this box, this value area, so, and as I've done with UUU on many videos, it's the same deal. I'm just looking if these value areas become insta-buys for me, because if it drops down below, I just know I'm wrong and there's no reason to be sticking around. And then I'll start looking for like some fundamental reasons. But, fundamentally, this company seems to be a future winner.
Yeah.
That can change, but these guys, the medical isotopes, the enrichment, they've got a lot going on. So it's definitely on my radar. It's going to stay on my radar. I'm still in a half position, and I did post it at one point wherever I was. Actually, if I recall correctly, 288 is my cost basis right now on this particular, whatever you want to call it, swing trade that I have going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that, since I've trimmed out about half of the portion up here, I know that I'm not worried about coming back, even below my cost basis.
Well,
I'm going to be happy.
You're looking forward to it coming back, I would suggest. Time to load up again.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's how it works. Everybody's just probably sitting there waiting for these big parabolic moves. And we've had them in Oklo and and in SMR and in nano nuke. Right. So, I don't know if this one's going to do it because it doesn't have an option chain. There was a lot of calls being bought on OKLO and SMR. But this is the way I'm looking at. Like, I literally want ASPI to go down right now, personally. If it doesn't, I'm still in position. Fine, I'm going to let it ride. But I would love to get a back test into this area. Yeah, and that's why I have that mark there, right? So if 364 is going to, if that triggers, now I really got to start paying attention. And again, it's the rising 12 EMA.
Well, mate, look at those. I mean, just look at those candles. I mean, look at the candle we had today. That is just your classic doji at the top of a big run. So, not to say it won't go further, but you would look at that thinking, oh, okay, well, tomorrow's candle is important. If you start really seeing some wilting, then we can start to think about, this looks a good chance now to come down to an area of value where you might be able to institute a new long, or initiate it, I should say.
That's what I'm looking to do. I'm definitely looking to roll back into this thing when the time is right. But and the thing is that Oklo and SMR and NNE, whatever, those are going to be some clues, right? Even nukes, the ETF. It's a new kid on the block. But if you start to see these, not the miners, right? So we don't put this in the miners. It's maybe more with LEU and LTBR, since these guys are messing with the fuel cycle. But if you start to see weakness in those other names as your correlations, you start to see that.
Yeah. So LEU, we might move on to that one now, because I did want to have a look at that. That's that one's kind of interesting, right? Yeah. So I think you covered this in your video as well. You can just see here it's just broken out for the moment on this monthly. It's a good break of a good area. I would look at that and think, well, you know what? If it can come back and back test and retest that box, that looks like something I'd be interested in.
Me too. But the thing with LEU is I'm very much aware that this thing can rip your face off in both directions. And it usually goes further than I think in both directions, if that makes it. I mean, but the thing about this now, right? So these are little behavioral changes. We had it here, but it was a fake. What a fake out, right?
Yeah.
But if you can maintain when the back test comes in, I mean, this is, what is this? 3 years of complete sideways action. So, in charting, in markets, you get these like long drawn out consolidations. That makes these moves a lot better, right? That gives you fuel for these moves. So, but the same deal, right? Running hot into this break. So, it's the same deal across the board. I'm almost going to be repeating myself a lot. So, but you see that, and I've done videos. If someone can go, if they want to go back in the history of my channel, you can see it. I've defined this box a long time ago. It's easy to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a breakout, and we're looking for the retest. So, and if it's legit, if LEU is legit, and there's something fundamental we don't know yet, right? So they got the exemptions from the Russian uranium ban. We know that. So if that could be one of the reasons why this thing is getting the juice that it's getting. But if we see a front run on this breakout, that's going to be super, super bullish to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens in this, let's just say 65 to 75 area. Because a $10 move in LEU is common.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's common and it's quick.
Yeah.
And you're like, what just happened to me?
Yeah. That's yeah.
Right. So this is today. It's a $10 move today.
Yeah. Yeah.
$10 move today.
Yeah.
So it could get back down into this area in a couple of days, and it wouldn't be surprising.
No. It wouldn't take much of a shake of the overall market to just drag it back down. And look, I mean, looking at that daily chart, it looks like it needs a rest. I mean, that is what you call parabolic.
Yeah, I mean, it does. These things look like they need a rest.
Yeah, they
and
do.
That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I'm fully aware of that. That's a lot. I had to get out of this position because it was calls, and they were expiring last week, no matter what. So,
yep.
And since it was such a parabolic move like this, I didn't want to take the shares, and I probably should have because they were literally $60 calls. So. But I didn't want to take the shares.
Yeah, first world problems, mate.
Yeah, I know.
I just couldn't decide how I wanted to take the profit.
Yeah, so I just took the profit. What can I tell you? But that's the deal. I'm looking for a back test.
Yeah.
There's just no question about it.
Absolutely.
And I guess what we'd have to do, because this is in the same boat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This thing, it's gone nutso, right? But. Wow. Has the chart changed at all, Ben, from a long-term perspective?
Well, it looks like it's got more work to do to be really convincing.
I mean, think about it.
Mm.
Look at this move, the move that this thing's had. Has it changed the chart? No. You know why it hasn't changed the chart, in my opinion? Because the monthly 50 EMA has been a point of rejection for, let's be conservative, since 2008. This gold line, this monthly 50 EMA has been a rejection point since May of 2008. Has the chart changed?
No,
it hasn't.
Not yet.
Right? Not yet. So if people think they, listen, it did it here, right? It gave it all back.
Yeah.
It's LTBR. It's kind of what it does. So if it doesn't, again, this is another check in the box for ASPI, for LEU, for Aquo. If it doesn't, the bulls are coming in to these names, and the opinion's going to be they're a lot less risky than playing the miners. Not to mention that the majority of the miners you can't even buy on big boards. So,
yeah,
that's the way I'm viewing it right now. This is a really good look, and I'm just going to extend the box since my chart. So, but in my opinion, the chart over the long term for the past 15 years, 20 years has not changed. This move has not changed this chart. That's the way I'm seeing it on the long-term perspective.
Yeah, that's
now if you come into the weekly, there's not much. It's still really a sideways move.
Well, yeah, it's got some tops to break yet, sort of up around that mid $13 area. I mean, it's got to beat those areas. It's got to maintain up there without falling over.
Yeah, so but if it does,
there's potential there. There's no doubt about that. That is definitely on the watch and act list. Mate, let's have a look at NNE to finish off here.
Okay, well, this is a really small floater too, and I don't know what the lockups are doing with this. I think they might be done or passed, but this thing moves. It's another one. I think I have to double check tomorrow. There might be an option chain that started to populate here, but huge volume. There's some fundamental guys that are saying this is just nowhere near to even ever building a nuclear power plant or a micro reactor or whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, Yeah, I mean,
right?
the guys long at $6 don't care. I can tell you that.
Yeah, there's no question, right? And the thing is like even just looking at this, I could see if I saw it come back to $6, it wouldn't surprise me, right? It would
Yeah,
probably make me happy. I'd want to buy it. So,
yeah, I agree.
um, and just depending on the way that there's still a lot of gas in the tank with all these names right now. They are getting pushed up. Wall Street Bets is on some of these names too.
Right. Well, there you go.
Because they're low floaters, the share structure is really favorable, and they got option chains. It's just
Yeah,
like it's a perfect formula.
it's a
So,
perfect
but
storm.
NNE is, you look at this and go, all right, we're getting a blue sky breakout out of this thing probably pretty soon. This is really great RSI action on the daily, but um, it's there's not a lot of price data here, but this is coming into like the chop zone,
Sure.
right? And you can see it on the volume profile.
Yep.
This is the spot. If it gets through all this, it could go anywhere. This thing can move really fast. I am not in this name right now, actually. I got out, in hindsight, retrospectively early, right? But who cares? I mean, I got it down here, so it doesn't matter. And I just know that even if I get this, right, if I get consolidation like this, I'm still going to get a really good move out of it, right? It's not going to look like anything on the chart. But the portfolio will say, hey, yeah, you just threw another couple of thousand, even if it's a small bet, right? So when I talk about sizing appropriately, according to the float, I'm never carrying more than like 1,000 shares of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never.
Right.
I'm never carrying more than 1,000 shares. I'm serious. And honestly, even then it's shaky. So I will get quick, whatever happens here, I'm assuming some consolidation down into this area. I'll be quick to cut half right away.
Yeah.
Give me 5%, and I'm cutting half because then it just gives me some room because to either reload or to just get out because it can whip you around.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that approach at all. I do very similar things in my trading. So
yeah,
okay, so
it is,
this one's definitely on the speculative the list. It's definitely either a fast gainer or a fast loser. But yes, people, if you're going to dive into this one, maybe just keep yourself circumspect on your sizing so you don't lose your entire account.
Yeah, the thing is that, you're not a chart reader, right? Whoever it is. I don't read charts. I don't like technical analysis, squiggly crayon lines, whatever you say, right? So then manage risk through position size.
Definitely.
Just manage your risk through position size. Even if you bought 100 shares at this level, guess what? You're up almost $1,000.
Super.
Right?
You wouldn't step over it if you saw it laying on the street.
100%.
But you're right. So I mean, risk management is the key to survival. You got to know where you're going to get out before you get in.
Yeah. Well, the difference between us and maybe a lot of people is that we're older. So I'm more adverse to risk. I'd rather get a nice hit on a small play and just to repeat that strategy than trying to just go loading up on something and hoping.
Yeah, mate.
But that's just my style.
Well, I agree. I'm the same. It's about filling up the bucket with drips rather than trying to fill it up with a fire hose.
Yeah.
Because a fire hose, you knock the bucket over. That's just my experience.
That's very true.
This has been fantastic. You have given us some excellent names that we can sift through. There's a lot of very interesting stuff here, I'm sure, for the viewers to ponder upon. So I will put links in the description for this video for your channel and your YouTube channel, which I highly recommend everyone check out, and also a link to your Twitter feed, which you do update quite regularly. Mate, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time.
You got it, sir. Let me give you two things for your viewers to feed on right now. You ready?
Please do.
U.UN has started daily consolidation. Okay?
Yep.
Daily consolidation is starting in U.UN. There's one other name that's doing it.
I looked at this morning.
NextGen.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So these are the two names in the space right now that have started daily consolidation. So people who want to dip by or whatever, pay attention to these two names right now to see, does anything else follow, or do these guys just recover and it's just a small little break?
Yep, but they do look like canaries in the coal mine as we sit here and now today, I would suggest.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And they're both in very important names in the sector.
Agreed.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, mate. That is fantastic. Let's do this again real soon.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, mate. I will talk to you before too long. Thank you and have a great day.
10-4, Benny. Take it easy, brother.
See you, mate. Bye. And so there you have it, folks. A massive thanks to the Red Devil for giving us his time today. Some great insights there and some very interesting names for us to keep a tab on. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.